Hi guys, just a quick video. I'll try not to ramble on too long, but it's kind of a big event to finish this comic, and I wanted to talk about what's going to immediately be happening so that you don't just have to read it and imply my tone or whatever. But also just do a little very quick post-mortem on this story arc and like kind of what it means and everything. At any rate, we'll just jump right into the stuff that matters. Uh, Most immediately, most importantly, Raven's Dojo is not ending. I know that a lot of stuff has felt very final about this story arc. There's been a lot of plot threads that were there since since the comic started, that are wrapped up now. So I get it. A lot of things ended, and they felt like the end for a reason. But no, it's not the end. There's a bunch more stories that I have in mind, stuff that I would love to do, stuff that I've been waiting to do. Not quite as long, but definitely very excited to do way more Raven's Dojo. I honestly think I could do it till the day I die. I really never see me getting tired. These characters, I've had Rodney and Dornell around since before kindergarten, so it's probably I'm going to be working on it forever. But I don't know, just to calm anybody who might be worried, it's not the end. So the other thing is that what's going to happen for the website, as you know, after every issue, I like to take a little break. It's not just because, oh, Raven has to relax. Anybody that's been here for a while knows it's to help me just sort of get everything in order, get all my ducks in a row, all that shit. Basically, housekeeping. Make sure that everything that can be done, that needs to be done, is done before I move on. Before even that, I'm going to be jumping right in there and taking care of subscriber content. I owe you guys. Thank you so much for your patience, but I owe you for March and April. So it's going to be like 2 weeks of working on subscriber stuff. Devil Powered Witches, Fuck Button, Raw Quickies, all that good stuff. So you're going to be getting like a feast of comics in that department. As soon as that's done, I'm going to start my housekeeping. There's going to be more than normal. So the break may be longer than normal. I don't know. I just got to like jump in there and start mopping up all that work. I had a bunch of things happen that made me skip some of the between issue housekeeping that I normally do. Just like, I think, if you remember back in December, when I had no choice but to like lose a month, I was just like, fuck it, let's just barrel on ahead. I didn't do some of the things that I should have done then. So I'm going to be doing a little, like, it's like housekeeping extra. I want to jump in there and tackle, a bunch of things. The other thing that's going to make this kind of a longer than normal break is just that, I want to try and figure out how to get this shit in print for you guys, for me. It just makes sense to have it all in print. When I started Super Raven's Dojo, I said that I was going to do a book a year, and it's a pace that I've maintained, and I'm proud that I've kept that up. But I was also supposed to do a book a year, and like every year have a book for you guys. Like, so it was going to be like book 6, book 7, and we're up to book 8. That didn't happen, but that didn't happen for good reasons. A lot of fucked up shit has happened over these last few years. So, money wise, it didn't make sense to pursue it. Life wise, things were crazy hectic and busy. And basically, storage space wise, like the old way of printing the books and then having them stored here. My apartment is small as shit, and I got a roommate. You probably know him, Adam Black. But I have less space now because I gotta have like a roommate. But it's all good. All this stuff works out. I have some exciting leads on print on demand stuff that I never had before. there's some people that have been talking to me, you know, about, hey, I've been using this for years and it's actually really good. And I was buying their stuff and I had no idea it was print on demand. Because for me, the print on demand thing has always been about two things. There's been two problems. It's been quality and it has been content. A lot of print on demand sites, they have to cover their own ass, and they have terms and stuff where, like, they can't have, you know, you can't have anything too vulgar. And as you know, Rodney fucked his girlfriend in the middle of a battle. And so, and it's only going to get more graphic going forward. So, you know, I got to think about that stuff. Like, it doesn't do me any good to set up a print on demand site and then just later get everything shut down. So, yeah, we'll see. But I have some good leads on that stuff too. But at any rate, yeah, lots of exciting things. I'm going to be wanting to ask you guys questions like, you know, if the earlier color books 2, 3, and 4, and, you know, I think 5, if they were collected on lower quality paper, but it was cheaper, would you want it? You know, would you, for the new black and white Super Ravens Dojo stuff, if it was 2 bigger books instead of 3 books, like, would that be something you would rather have? Stuff like that. So I'm going to be wanting to get you guys feedback. I'll be collecting that at the dojo, probably on social media. I don't know. Just keep your eyes open. But, yeah, a little bit of a break, but nothing you're not used to. It's not going to be huge. I'm not on hiatus. I never get to rest. There's always something that needs done. On top of that, there's a bunch of cool stuff coming down the pipeline for you guys. Soon as I wrap up some of the projects that are ongoing now, there's going to be a new title, you know, released on the paywall. There's a top secret project that I'm not allowed to talk about. It's not huge. It's just a few pages, but I'm going to be working on that during the break. There are a bunch of pinups and posters and stuff that I've been meaning to do, Ravens Dojo related. Like, I wanted to do a poster of the Beautyverse that the dojo characters live in, full color, and this time, you know, never had time, but we're going to take time. We're going to make the poster. We're going to get it done. But, yeah, on top of that, video games, are still kind of a, like, I mean, it's not killing it, but it did cover, goddamn Galactic Gorilla's Gotta Go did cover its, expenses. Like, it paid for its own existence. And if I break even, I usually just continue pursuing stuff, because once something is created and proves to be, like, at least pays for itself, then it can just sit around and make money. Plus, there's some small game ideas I have. I'm never going to make big games. I'm not a game maker. It's too fucking annoying, and I love comics first. But, yeah, I have another video game in the works as we speak. Not ready to say anything because it's a long way off, and I hate to make people wait and, you know, dangle shit in front of them. I'll probably just drop it like I did fucking Galactic Gorillas. Just like one day you'll be online and you'll be like, oh shit, new video game. So, yeah, there's a new Dojo video game, Ravens Dojo video game, being worked on. Nothing huge, Galactic Gorilla sized. I usually only spend 1 month's worth of time on these video games, so they're little 1 month projects. But it's never 1 month all at once. It is 1 month, like, cumulative, like, overall 1 month. So, at any rate, I think that gets us caught up. I'm looking, it's like almost 9 minutes now, so I'm going to kind of speed it along. Just do my post-mortem on this current story arc. Just something to, you know, it's a big event for me, and why it was important and why it happened, when it happened, and all that good stuff. Some frequently asked questions that people had, stuff like that. So let me get a sip, and we'll talk about it. Ooh, that's good sweet tea. All right. The current story arc. So, it's meaningful for me in a lot of ways. It's important to me for a lot of reasons, but the main thing is that this is a story arc that has been just cooking for a long fucking time. Over half my life, over 23 years, easy. One day I'll have the exact amount of time. It's long. It's way before the website. But basically the deal is, if you know that, like, Raven's Dojo comics, I've been doing them my whole life. You know, Rodney and Dornell had big hero adventure comics for a long time. And then in 1998, when I not rebooted, but I had the choice to reboot the comic because I was introducing it to the world as Raven's Dojo. You know, I was at that crossroads where I was like, well, I mean, Rodney and Dornell have this huge past. Like, do I just pretend it doesn't exist, or do I embrace it in some way, or whatever else? So, you know, that's when the story and everything just sort of, I always was like, well, I don't want to just pretend none of that stuff happened. I want that stuff to have happened, but I don't want it to be a burden that readers have to deal with. Like, I just want it to be sort of a fun little, hey, you know, they were heroes, but don't worry about it. Just know that they were. And so, you know, all that stuff took shape. And as soon as I learned about Frederick Wortham, who wrote Seduction of the Innocent, like, immediately I was like, oh yeah, that's like the big bad in Raven's, like, that's the guy, like, he's the man behind the scenes. Like, the Cox were always, you know, it was comedy, they were the main, like, villains for a lot of people, but, like, it's really, in reality, like, their name is stupid, like, you know, their equipment, they're supposed to be incredible or whatever, has all kinds of, like, there's little problems, you know, like Silencio, like, if you're really in love, you're just gonna remember that the other person, you know, stuff like that. So even like Endless City, you know, yeah, there was a mind wipe, but, like, it wasn't really done smartly. Like, here's a whole city that was just, like, ignored because of one fucking song on an iPod and stuff, and it's just absurd that it would even, you know, work that way. But that was the point. It was just kind of be like, hey, you know, these guys, they're not as like omniscient, like, as super, they're not the super big bads that you might think. Like, the cracks as you were reading the series should have been shown, and everything was building up to this, like, this look back arc. Anyway, like, this was where it was all going, and the reason why I waited so long is I just knew, I mean, you know, I wasn't good enough to tell that story. Like, I didn't have the talent, and I didn't have the chops, and I didn't have the confidence, and I knew it was going to be a big story because it was basically going to be like a huge, like, look back. And so I waited until I was good enough, and I waited until I, you know, could do it fast enough, because I knew it was going to take a long time. We're over 4 years now making that story. For you, over 4 years. For me, like, over 23 years. But I just knew that I needed to wait until I was good enough and could do it fast enough. And so after the Airflow story arc, when I went to ditch color for speed and cheapness of printing, those were the two reasons, I knew then that I needed to just do this story arc. Like, that was, like, this was the time. Like, if we're going to do Wortham, and we're going to talk about the bests, and it's not going to just be the Shelf and Mr. Bastard and, like, Kenyon, but it's going to be, like, all of them. Like, you know, Boomeranger, you know, Speedy Godiva, Magicadabra, like, all of that stuff. And we're going to show, like, you know, Rodney and Dornell as big heroes, and the Rad Pad, and all that stuff that just been, like, when I put gold statues on the moon, like, people were like, oh, what is that? And I was like, I know, like, you know, don't worry. I had Jinian make a joke about Rodney and Dornell's wives in issue 5, and it's like, you know, felt like a throwaway line, but, like, I knew I was building towards all that stuff. And so we got to that, to the Super Ravens Dojo, and I was like, you know, this is going to be a huge story arc. I don't want to do any more small story arcs. Like, the timing is right to put this to bed. Because the thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to tell the beginning. Like, basically, if you think about it, continuity-wise, Super Ravens Dojo is actually the beginning. It's the earliest you will ever see of Ravens Dojo history. Nothing really could come sooner. Like, Ultrat sees Rodney and Dornell on the other Earth that they came from. So it's like, there's really nothing like I could go further back past there that you would even give a shit about, really. But I wanted it to be the intro, but also the ending, and I wanted it to be just sort of, if you were going to only read one thing of Raven's Dojo, like if you were hungrier for more than a one shot, because the reason why I've done one shots is I want those one shots like Pegasus Unicorn and new stories of old friends and stuff. I want those to be for the person who can, like, they're really impatient and they only want to read like one issue. That stuff exists for them. But for the people who are hungrier for like something more substantial, but they also don't want to read everything from the beginning, they can start with Super Raven's Dojo. And they'll get the beginning almost like in sequential order, and then they'll get caught up to modern times. They don't know everything in modern times, but they have that catch-up page. And then basically they can also see how the cocks end and where them ends and all that good stuff. So, yeah, a lot of finality to it, even though I'm moving on. It's not the end, but a lot of finality to that arc for that reason. Like, I wanted to be almost like a huge done-in-one. So, yeah, basically. The other thing is, on personal notes, like, I mean, it was just time. That story had been brewing in my head for so long, and I had somebody say to me, what if I die before the story ends, right? And it kind of like stuck with me and fucked with me just a little bit, because I was just like, ugh. And I have had people die reading Raven's Dojo and then they pass. And because of Facebook, like, you can see, like, their Facebook becomes a memorial page and, they're gone. And it sucks. I hate the idea of that, because one of the beautiful things about independent comics is that you get closure. Like, you don't have to just, it's not like Superman or Batman where this is a thing that's bigger than you. It's going to be around long after you're dead. I don't want that. I want people to be able to, the things you read at Raven's Dojo matter. Like, the things that happen matter. And so, in a way, it was an ending of sorts. So basically, like, I just wanted to give someone who had been reading a long time a huge closure, like a huge feeling of payoff, like, because you should get that. And the cocks and all that was never meant to be forever. It was never meant to be forever. There was always meant to be a point where we just put that shit away and we moved on, because there's a million other stories that could be told. But yeah, I did have a ton of fun with all of that stuff and all those characters. And now that they exist as more than just a name, no promises, but now they exist. There could be even more substantial, more stories can come from them being in the gallery off planet or something like that. There can be more stories told. So it's like, yes, that ends, but it always opens another door. There's always more shit that you can do. So, yeah, I just wanted people to have some closure, to have a way to, feel that feeling. Like, they always say when you create a point like that, you create a jump-off point. But, hopefully people are having enough fun that they'll stick with it. Getting windy. Gonna try and wrap it up. Nobody wants to watch a 20-minute fucking video. Basically, real quick, questions that I get asked, that I've seen asked a lot about this is, is Bonnie gonna just have her story undone by Rodney and Dornell's like memory thing, like everything being like there's no more anti-perceptech? No, Bonnie is not. Her story's done. She has her happy ending. Dornell basically talked to her face to face. If she was going to remember him, she would have. So basically, Bonnie's plot, she gets her happy ending. She has her family. She just always wanted a family. And the thing with Bonnie is that she was closer to Rodney and Dornell than anyone, to the point to where when they were looking for people to live with them, she was the only one that wanted to live with them. She was living with them anyway. But, basically, people come in and out of your life, and that's Bonnie's plot, is like she was one of their very closest friends, and she just grew in a different direction, and she just wanted that, and they have no ill will. It's nothing bad, you know. They just, their lives are in different places. So no, Bonnie's story is done. You know, it won't be undone by the mind wipe. The other thing on the mind wipe, a lot of people thought maybe there would be like a total recall where like everybody just suddenly remembers everything all of a sudden. That's not what's going to happen. It's not magic, like Turtle Boss says. Nobody's made to suddenly remember. Like everything that was forgotten is just, it's still forgotten, but it's just now no longer actively suppressed. So, you know, you might be like, well, how's that work? Well, you'll see. It'll be in the comic. But long story short, I mean, if you think about it, it's not crazy like you would think. Like, there's all kinds of really, like, you know, important things and important characters and figures in history and in the world. And, like, if you look at them and you don't know who they are, it means nothing to you. Like, you see a statue and you don't know who the fuck that is. It's not like it's you're going to just stand there and puzzle and puzzle and puzzle over it. You'll probably just walk past it and not give a shit. And same thing with, like, you know, somebody writes graffiti on the wall and it's like super meaningful or important to them or whatever, but to you it's just fucking graffiti. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, I'd think of it as that. It's not really some crazy far out there concept. That's just where they're at. What other question? I think those are the three. Those are the three that I see the most. People want to know, like, basically, you know, did Bonnie's story get undone? Will everybody just suddenly remember? The only real other thing is that I know that the story at the end didn't go to great pains to, like, you know, show you where everybody went or whatever. Like, you know, it just sort of like jumps from the wedding straight to them in the boat and that's the end. Don't worry. You know, I'm not gonna like just pretend nothing happened or whatever else, but like they'll talk about stuff. But basically, yeah, it's good. Don't worry. I'm not gonna just ignore all that shit. The very last thing, and this is something that like most people didn't ask or really worry about too much, but it's important to me to throw it out there for you guys. A little extra, something you might not know. You waited this long. Here's a little something extra you might not know. Out of all of the bests, Kenyon was actually almost as old as Rodney and Dornell. Like, he's been around a long fucking time in my life. And so basically, you know, his inclusion in the story, you know, the next time they see Kenyon, it'll be the last time they see him. And he, you know, gets injured to the point to where he's going to eventually turn around and die. And so I wanted Kenyon. He's always been that kind of like weird just cameo character. Like, he just shows up, or his presence is felt indirectly, or it's something like, you know, something he did or said. And I wanted his presence in the comic to be that way. But also, too, just like everything else, you know, it's a long-running arc. It's actually, Kenyon's arc is older than dial-up internet, older than Raven's Dojo. Like, it's very, very, like, ancient in my life. And you've got closure now. Because, you know, his daughter finally does get home and meet his wife and son. And tell him, you know, he's like, hey, you know, he didn't make it, but he loved you. He was looking for you this whole time. So, yeah, just another long, like super long running thing in my life, like wrapping up, adding that closure, adding that impact. I hope you just enjoyed that little extra insight. I've never really super talked about Kenyon being like super old, like as a character in my life, and it's probably like, doesn't seem that way because he's not in the comic like Rodney and Dornell are. But yeah, that's more or less it. Alright, this video is long as a motherfucker, and I doubt that many of you have even made it this far, but if you did, thank you so much. Thank you for reading, thank you for watching, thank you for being so fucking patient. It's been 4 years. You know, people did kind of get antsy-pantsy and just, you know, wonder all the time, like, when's it gonna end, when's it gonna end, but everybody was more or less cool. Rest in peace to that one reader who was like, I hope this flashback ends in the very first year. Probably lost that one. But yeah, that's it. Thank you again. Thank you guys so much. You reading means the world to me. I think there's a lot of fucking kick-ass shit in the future for Ravens Dojo fans. And yeah, man, that's it. Please take care of yourself. Be safe. Wear a mask, social distance, all that good shit. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for reading more than that. And take good care of yourself.